Morning.
Do we have anyone, nominating for the minutes from the last meeting?
Approved.
Or Eric, whatever you need.
All good. On my order.
I'll second it. Yeah, keep it easy.
I'll say citizen at large.
Everyone in favor? You opposed? No visitor comments? Is there anybody online?
Don't see anyone.
We are fine through this. Old business. Do we have any, business coffee updates? Health prep stuff?
I have my stuff for the CRD board.
I have my stuff for the economic development sales tax. Yes,
Awesome.
all done. Just need the boards and then I
Yeah.
can tape it on or glue it, something along those lines.
I don't know if you guys wanna like pass this around and see if you think we should add anything. I tried to keep it as like plain language as possible, but still take directly from the Gilmore bill, so it was like, I don't know, right in that line between it's still legal, but is, you know, easy to read.
Close.
And then I did print out the South Grand 5-year plan of their CID, just so people could see an example of like
Nice.
another CID. they do. I
Oh,
don't know
cool.
if
And that's a very recent one. That's neat.
yeah, Eric sent this brand or both. I don't know if you guys have other ideas, but
Yeah, and mine, I mean, I printed it where it's big. I just tried to make the same thing. Gilmore Bill, one paper, concise, like, that's my header. What is it? Up to 0.5% sales tax, exclusively used for economic development, how it can be used, 20% for infrastructure, what the remaining can be used for. How it's implemented, approved by voters, and then the board's formed, kind of explains that. And then questions or concerns. So just kind of put it all over the board, keep it easy, and then we can talk about it. There'll be more about white paper too.
Does that have any examples of like how other cities are using it?
I mean, it says other cities that have it. Springfield, Joplin, St. Joe, Buchanan County, Butler County
Even U City has it. There
has
was a-
economic development.
Yeah, I sent it, did that go to everybody?
I
believe
it
so.
was- Go ahead.
So I was gonna say, I think it went out to everyone, but we can definitely get it out and get it to Mike if you wanna have.
Yeah, if you would resend it, if I might have just missed it, but yeah, I'll print an example just like that too, or a couple of examples and just have them there.
Yeah, it's really specific and it's kind of neat, like, places can even apply for like a grant for, say, a mural on a building
Yeah.
or, you know, things like that. And so, it's been around for a while and
Yeah,
they have some good information.
okay.
Eric, where can we grab boards? Is that something we could grab today or
I
tomorrow?
think they're here.
Yeah, they are there, and I'm literally about 3 blocks away in this wonderful
Okay.
traffic. So I will, you'll have boards when you leave. I'll be in the
All right,
room
cool.
shortly.
Cool. Is there anything else that we need? Is the Green Dining Alliance going to come? From my understanding.
The Green Dining Alliance is going to be there. They will be have a station as well, and then we also have we'll talk about Blue Dot and such. We'll have that example stations and ready to go and walk through the business directory with folks and also other processes. The one thing I did want to bring up, and I'm going to turn to Tierra for a conversation just briefly ahead of the meeting about radio stuff that the city has going on, but getting a date for the next coffee would be helpful if we have it, and we can just save the date right on whatever Leave Behind for Giving at the coffee this time, if that makes sense.
That makes sense to me. But when did we do the last one in the spring? Was it April or March?
That was February.
February.
It was a nice day in
Yeah.
like April.
We were battling Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So the city partners with Odyssey. It's a marketing firm that kind of controls a lot of the different radio stations. All those great things in the city. And so our partner is Julie Tristan from KZK and Judith, and there's Judith. She's kind of like our account manager for the city. And so they would like to put together some holiday packages similar to what the WKT does for holiday ads, but for radio. For the different businesses that might want to. And so when I talked to her, I asked her to kind of put together a wide range of things. So something as cheap as maybe a couple $100 to a couple thousand, depending on the business and what they want. Some people might only want social media ads. Some people might want some radio time. So she is putting together like a wide range package for different businesses to pick from. And so I just wanted to pick your brains about possibly having her set up like a table or however you guys do it at the business coffee to kind of present that to different business owners if they would like to do so. So of course, this will be fully paid by the business owner. So if they choose to, nothing supplemented by the city or from your funds or anything. So this will be completely voluntary if they would like it, but just an opportunity for them to kind of see some options for marketing. Y'all are okay with that?
Will the
If you're a-
business owners be informed on what the baseline is of what the city is planning for that time?
Say it again.
So every year for the holiday season, the city does like kind of a promotional stuff. And so if they knew like what the plans were for the city, then they could see how they might augment that.
Okay, and that won't change. That will stay the same as it has in past years, but we can make sure they have that information before so they can make a informed decision on whether or not they want to do it.
Point, but yeah, it seems, I don't understand why we wouldn't have them set up.
I'll be joining the room in 2 seconds, folks.
Please stay on.
Like a February date.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's no school on the 14th. That's the second Friday. I don't know if that matters.
For me personally, no school is a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause then I need to be home, usually, you know, especially
Don't we usually do it on Wednesdays?
Yeah.
Yes.
the 12th.
You wanna do the 12th?
I'd like us to not pick the third Wednesday, whatever it is, so we don't kick Crossroads off their meeting again.
Okay.
That's the second.
Yeah, they did beat up Julia a little bit the last meeting. So February 12th, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And what's the date of this meeting again?
Or the 18th. February 12th, that's not anything else, like.
My aunt's birthday.
Oh.
Turn along.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
I get it, I get it.
Nice that you.
Gosh, Wednesday or anything like that. I'm not Catholic, I don't know.
Not popping up as something on my calendar, but I can't say that I have all. the
Oh, yeah,
All
we
those.
did have Ash Wednesday one time, didn't we?
Right, it was.
What, Easter is late this year or next year?
It's not.
Yeah. I'll check though, y'all.
Ash Wednesday is in March 5th.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that is late. Wow,
April 20th.
wow.
Okay, so is there anything else that we need to get together for the coffee?
You did the 23 West.
Yes, I spoke to pool manager, so I have a dialogue with him, and then we just need to decide what. Or I can just tell him to plan for 100 people. Is that heavy?
A lot.
That seems like a lot. I think like at a really well attended one, we've had what, 50 or 60.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
We always
Eric
have
will know.
extras.
He's the one that.
Here he is.
What is there no?
Eric, you sit to your spot.
Something we had, nothing there.
Yeah. What do I know?
Pastries.
For coffee.
That's a great question. How many donuts did you get from Chicago?
Week or 100?
Usually, I would buy 4 dozen, usually maybe 5, 6. I mean, I planned for 50 something when I bought them, but like,
Yeah.
when we told the annex, those are like, here's our budget, so make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So either way you wanna go.
What is our budget?
Think real quick here. Put in, it was 1,000 in the food and events, so you have like 500 for each of them. Really, only cost for this coffee is 500. So It's like a lot, that'll get you a lot.
Yeah, like a lot.
Like it.
That's pretty
Seems
heavy.
like it.
Yeah.
I mean,
We take
$10
donuts home.
first.
We've been taking notes. So,
Yeah.
yeah, or firefighters.
Okay. I'll make it happen.
Great.
Alright.
All right, next item, the Blue Dot QR map update.
It's gonna be all ready to go. We got signs off to the printers for businesses and we will be having the business directory debut online at the event. So USBBC members will have probably about the how to do it email about a week ahead of everyone else. We'd like you to be our test guineas and such. So that between essentially was that September 12th, 13th, that range to the 18th. If you have problems and if our instructions are not helpful before the coffee, give us that feedback so that we can update them and make them more helpful. Again, we have 7 laptops going to be brought in, so we'll be able to help people right there, have them go on and we won't have that many staff, but we'll have staff sort of stationed in between them to help people, walk through the process.
Oh, that's cool, that's a good idea.
Maybe like some BDC members to help with that?
Okay, I think it would be helpful to have you all there. I don't know if we'll have time to get you all trained if there's an intricate, thing. I mean,
And they're probably gonna have questions about these two issues.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mike and I are obviously already taken.
Yeah. We're proficient on boards,
So you're about
but
to
yeah.
deal with the rest of us. Okay. Great, well, that sounds exciting.
so in that, I just wanted to highlight real quick, says we're many important things here, and I'm looking at my colleague Renee, who is taking the helm here, that for the business coffees as a big transition point. We have to talk about this, but my anticipation is that as I start to feed Renee many more things, that she's gonna become your more direct contact for the next coffee and such. But certainly I will be out of this role at that point. So I just wanna highlight that and don't wait on me to walk in the room necessarily to find those things. It's going to be, really the staff liaison role is gonna be transitioning, so. And I'll try to continue to bring down many things that I have that need to be written down, so.
All right.
Does February 12th work for you, Renee?
Hmm?
February 12th for the next coffee, does that sound? Okay, I know that's far out.
I'll be here.
Okay. Great. New business, fourth quarter promotions.
Why don't we start with your call for a meeting, so we can talk about where we're going tomorrow.
Okay,
That's
yeah, so, we were hearing from some, businesses around town that, consumer spending has softened. And that, they weren't specifically asking for the BDC to help them with that. But we just feel like, the success and, focus and rally of the region behind independent shops back during COVID and in the years after that was really a good, strong support network, or just a reminder for folks, because sometimes the easy thing is for them to send out a wish list on Amazon instead of saying, hey, can you go pick up these supplies for us from Schnars as a donation, or can you get, can you sponsor some t-shirts? There's always Attic for us or something like that. They're asking for it online. And so just, if we could come up with a way to encourage people to educate them on the benefits of shopping with local independents year round. But we'll start with the holiday season because that's easy. We already have a lot of that in place and everything. But how can we start to translate that into bringing people from the entire region to Webster Groves for all of the wonderful things that we have? We have some of the best restaurants, some of the most innovative shopping, and things like that. So we wanted to start that conversation early instead of, in October or later to see what we could do. So we met, was that last week or? Yeah. just to kind of start the conversation going, and Fran helped to remind us on some of the things that are already in place, some of the things that people do. And once we decided, or we talked a little bit about it, and we thought we should bring the business owners and restaurant owners and that into the conversation, we invited them tomorrow morning to a meeting to see how can we collaborate and share the words at 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, share the same kind of goal and help promote one another. So so tomorrow morning at 8:30, we have that meeting.
What restaurant owners do you have?
I don't know who has responded.
John Hart was not one of the ones that said yes for the 23rd, because he had a previous meeting, but he's trying to rearrange that because he wants to be here.
Oh, good,
So
good.
that's the only one I know for sure.
See, that with the trades, we talk a lot about getting restaurants involved. And in their business, they work late, they're not up early in the morning. And so we talk a lot about how to help them out,
Mhm.
but they're never there.
Yeah,
So
I can try reaching out to some people that I know with Ono Hospitality Group and see if somebody, because that's Old Webster then.
that's the one that will at least communicate with us through. I mean, everybody knows Mark, and so, you know, he will respond to us and do things with us and all that, but yeah, it's tough to get restaurants involved.
I wonder if we can catch some of those people next week at the happy hour, since that's more of their time frame, although they might just be at work.
That could be their rush, yeah. They're tough to catch. It'd almost be like a late morning meeting is probably like a pre-lunch rush.
But that's when they.
But that's when they crack, yeah.
I know I don't know what the answer is. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. I mean, I certainly understand their situation. But you know, we're always talking about how to help them as well too.
Yeah.
You know, in the trade, so.
There is a little bit of a natural symbiosis, I think, between shopping and the restaurants. You know, I mean, you bring a lot of people in for like things going on in the neighborhoods. They're gonna want to have lunch or like breakfast or, you know, like something, or maybe stay and for dinner, things like that. So
I personally feel like our role as the BDC is to just make sure we offer it, and then it's up to them if they wanna opt in and participate. But as long as we just fit open to all kinds of businesses, then we've done our part, you know?
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying.
Do you all think it's a consumer spending issue? Truly, I think and I guess let me know what you see in your stores. I think consumers are still spending a lot of money. I think the issue is the bottom line profit shrinking because all the expenses keep going up.
well, I
agree.
think that
I
that's
agree
definitely a
with that.
factor, but then I was also reading an article about how whether people are actually not spending or whether their attention's being drawn somewhere else. So like, you know, oh, this was the thing that was interesting and cool at one point. Now it's, you know, this is the thing. Or, you know, like online, you have Black Fridays every single weekend for some businesses, you know, online.
Every day is prime day.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly. So, you know, their attention's being drawn away.
And just the faster pace of life, that it kind of slowed down during COVID and people kind of had more time to shop local, but now they're just like, I just gotta order that on Amazon because I'm busy, I gotta do it, you know? And but I think people are still seeking experiences, which I think shopping local is an
Yeah.
experience.
Or even Webster Groves in general, it's
Right,
all about the
yes.
experience, because literally almost everything that we all sell can be purchased online.
Sure.
Or in like a big giant box store, chain store kind of thing. That's not, in my opinion, what we're selling. We're selling the experience and the neighborhood and all of the other things that you can do while you're here. So we wanted to talk about that. I've been chatting with some folks in Kirkwood, in old downtown Kirkwood and old St. Charles on some of the things that they do. And also where the funding comes from. So that, because something started out as like kind of a grassroots business owner thing. And now, for example, in Old Main Street, St. Charles, they have a hotel tax and tourism board that pays for things, even to the extent of every business gets a fresh wreath and roping, Christmas roping and stuff. And so there's a broad range of what folks are doing out there. But I think starting the dialogue for our community could be really a good thing.
But yeah, we couldn't necessarily do the hotel tax, we don't have hotels, but that economic development and sales tax could be. a
Sure.
type of thing.
Sure. And also, like, for example, in Old Main Street, St. Charles, I think most of us we all familiar with the Christmas events that they do in that. Well, now they've started doing October, as Legends and Lanterns, where they have, people dressed up like, I know, right? Write that down. As characters in either fiction or nonfiction, walking the street, and they have a pumpkin glow the last weekend before Halloween. So it's not necessarily that they're specifically coming up with something that the businesses are doing, like we're all having a pop-up with somebody, something or another. It's this is a time period where we have these kinds of experiences or feels, or we're promoting this kind of a theme, and everybody jump in whatever way makes sense for you.
This is a great segue to, I was gonna say yesterday at the Crossroads meeting, we were talking about if we were gonna participate this year in the trick or treat. Can we open that up to the whole city? I know last year, like the poster says like Old Orchard, Old Webster, Crossroads, but can we just say Webster?
So really not a city event.
Oh, got it.
Created by the districts working through their associations, getting that money in to pay for those pamphlets. The city puts no money into trick or treating. You just simply, what time did you guys all decide for trick or treating? That's time for trick or treating.
Because
So
the cost is low, it really is just for the flyers.
it's a flyer, yeah. So now you could say, city, we think that's something you should pick up as part of business development, but that's not historically been the role. It's been an outside activity that we have subsidized through the associations.
So
And Fran's time really to also go
Yeah.
and get everyone's on board. Is that correct, Fran? I got everything?
One of the things that I've noticed, like in what these places are doing, like the Main Street St. Charles one is kind of a good example, is that they're doing it over a longer period of time, right? To try, because not everybody can make it on 3-1-4 day, 2 things going on, especially in multiple neighborhoods or areas or something. So there's a benefit to having something that goes a longer period of time, even if it's just like the entire weekend, like Friday through Sunday or something. It gives more people the opportunity to put it on their calendar somewhere in case they have a conflict with a particular time.
this might be more of a conversation for tomorrow's meeting, but would it make sense if we did that? Or is it too late for that whole weekend before Halloween, when trick or treating is on that Saturday for businesses? We did like Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, invite businesses to participate however you want. Like, I know like at Descendant, we're having like a palm reader there that weekend, and just if other people did things and. But I don't know if it's too late. I think it's already almost September.
I mean, we would participate 3 days of trick or treating.
Well, it wouldn't have to be trick or treating, but just like it's spooky that weekend. You put a pumpkin on your window, you know what I mean, or something. We could even do like a pumpkin carving contest, and businesses that want to participate can vote or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, we've talked about painting pumpkins for the Walktoberfest
Yeah.
and different things like
Painting
that.
pumpkin, that's good.
So, right, but that's even down to like what makes the best sense for the business,
Right.
like if it's kind of like Wonderland. Like if it was, I don't know, Witchy Webster, or, Wicked Webster.
What is trick or treating like in your, for you guys?
Could be better, but you know.
We basically have to shut down our stores and just give out whatever we're giving out. I mean,
mean, like it's bad for business in that way.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how it was when I had a business on Cherokee Street and it was Cinco de Mayo. It was like the worst day for
Right,
sales.
exactly,
because nobody is
exactly,
shopping.
yep.
Yeah. But do you think Old Webster would be into, even if, you know, trick or treating was that small window, but the vibe was for the weekend?
I mean, you definitely throw it out there.
When is your guys' next meeting? Next week?
We just had
You
it.
just had it.
Just that.
Are you gonna be able to make it tomorrow?
I don't know what tomorrow is. I missed last meeting.
Tomorrow
This
is
was
just
emailed.
business and restaurant owners meeting to talk about this specifically.
It's only restaurant owners? Oh.
No, businesses and
Okay.
Retail.
Did somebody go out on that? I missed it.
It was like a doodle poll from
I
Brandon.
received 2 emails from me about it.
I missed
I
it.
saw that last
I
year.
did have my email down for a month. That was really bad.
Brutal. Well, you can make it tomorrow. It's here at 8:30.
Okay.
Be great to have. Somebody,
It's awesome, but not.
I'll reach out to Stacy too, and
Stacy already said she could.
oh, she can. Or maybe like Rachel Ledford, or I don't know. Some retail presence of Webster.
We try Lisa, we're in.
Or what about, who's the one that owns Joya? What's her name?
Oh, that's.
Yeah, she's like super into events and collaborations and things, it seems.
You have a no relationship.
I don't.
I think she
No, I
responded,
don't.
because it's, yeah. The green check marks are the,
Oh, Jim,
these are on there.
cool.
Who's on there?
And Ian from
Yeah.
Theories of Alchemy. All right, we've got Betty's books. Who's Heather Sparkman?
Webster Arts,
Oh, great.
Oh, fantastic.
And then who's Natalie?
Bull Candle.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, I feel like this is a good mix of areas, but
Deal was interested, but she's not back in town yet.
oh, you should come.
I will if I can. It's a complicated question. But
Yeah, it's good.
very last.
Very nice.
Did you have anything that you wanted to add, Tia?
Just, I want, just to add to that, can you just, is it Webster Wonderland, correct, that's the brand name?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Webster Wonderland, thank you. I keep calling it Winter Wonderland, and I know that's not right. Webster Wonderland, so when we talk about the holiday marketing that you all as BDC had historically helped bring up, was that 16, 17, 18, maybe even before, really that money was really an effort you brought up. That's transitioned into a staff role, but it's Webster Wonderland, is that winter brand theme, the holiday season, when we do the extra advertising and such, the district pay in some money on that. And then the general fund of the city pays in money on that to create packages that go out. WKT continues in that, and your game pages that the district sponsor. Again, I know that's districts, but it's just giving you all a sense of what's on that. And then obviously the added radio possibilities this year. City's already purchased a whole year-long package, so events are 3 times a week. You know, we're getting morning on-air endorsements from the morning host on KEZK about what's going on in Webster Groves and such. And so this is an opportunity. The reason that they're coming to Business Coffee is simply because we've endorsed that package. We bought that package, and now that rate's available to you if you want to do so. I just want to give you a sense of, we talk about holiday, what that is. Webster Wonderland is that holiday package. And in the past, Tira's gonna hate me to say this, but I'm gonna put it on there. I know we've done, I think it was in 19, did we do some billboards?
Yes.
44.
We did it once.
And so we did it once. I don't know if it was effective or not. I'm just saying we did it once. So it's not limited to what we've done. If you want to ask for expansions or give us some recommendations, but again, it's ultimately a staff function that needs to be done, but we want to hear that. That's, if TV is not working, if radio's not working, if digital's where you want to be, those recommendations are helpful, but also recognize it takes some.
I was part of that subcommittee just to
Yep.
say, it was the mayor that actually led it,
Mhm.
and it was not successful.
No,
You talking about the billboard?
The
Yes,
billboard,
billboards,
So,
just us and that.
How do you gauge
Measure it,
that? Yeah.
yeah,
I don't remember how we did, but we didn't go back to it next year.
Yeah, cause I do feel like you know, billboards are kind of cringy, but then if you see like a good one, it does catch your eye, like the Golden Gems ones, you know,
Exactly what I
it's
thought.
like,
Yeah.
oh, they're doing that?
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
to contribute to this conversation, I'm curious to know, or how are you guys gauging how people are finding your businesses? Like, is that a Webster-wide thing? I'm pretty sure it's not a Webster-wide thing, but I'm just curious to know, to that point, like, how are people finding Webster businesses? Is it mainly social media? Is it they hear about it from KZK? I think that will kind of help guide how we move forward, at least, probably not for Q4, but at least for 2025, what we put our dollars towards, and we'll see where people are coming from. And I think that would kind of should be a conversation for you guys tomorrow, just to say, we want all of these things, but how can we make the best decision? So I don't know if as a commission, you guys kind of decide, like you said, we can offer the businesses a way to gauge that. If they buy in, they buy in, but maybe if that's a way that you guys create a survey or something that businesses can put at the counter, have people fill out and collect those responses and go through it as a commission and talk through that. In conjunction with all of the ideas that people have, so we can choose the best way forward. I just think it's kind of, you know, throwing something at the wall and seeing what sticks instead of let's actually get the data for it and kind of gauge what the responses are and then move forward.
We did do
I know
a big survey, just like a year or so ago, didn't we, Eric? Like where we asked people like what are your demographics? Where is it coming from and all of that kind of stuff?
We did, it was a very typical Main Street survey. We called them from the Main Street programs, and it got some response, but it wasn't. Especially the demographic pieces like that, on where you're seeing most of their marketing, most folks at the WK, right? So we know that, yes, there are shoppers from within the paper circulation, but we all know that we're not talking about our interior shoppers here, if I can call them that, in this conversation. We're talking about, really the conversation here is about regional tourism type attraction, or an attraction to come here from outbound. So we have looked at some data sources. A good one is Placer that takes cell phone data that can track in where we're seeing people, and where they're coming from and such. Now, of course, we're also a sleeper. We're a suburb community with bedroom community. We all drive out. So that data, parsing that data, and then it's just commuters leaving and coming with shoppers is interesting as well. But we've just looked at it. It's not expensive, but it's a hard data set to pull apart.
Yeah, I know I have some customers that will do it with their POS system and basically ask, how did you hear about us? And they have different, tabs to drop down or click or something like that. You have to train your people to do that. But if we really wanted to know where people are coming from, I think the best way is to ask the consumer when they.
Yeah, well, there's
When
two
it's
different
done.
questions there, because we always ask.
How'd you
you
hear
know?
about us?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah,
What brings you
or, they're like, this is our first time, we're like, welcome, how did you, how did you find us? So we always ask. And so like how they found us is one thing that we look for, but then also in a lot of our demographic, like in what do you call that? Analytics or insights for a lot of our marketing and our POS, it will tell us where they're coming from. So we've got a really strong pull from St. Charles, over in Illinois in Edwardsville, Collinsville, Belleville, and also South City.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting too. Like unless you say that, I wouldn't have thought that that people pull from it. As
Oh,
far as
we
like
get-
St. Charles. And
We get
Illinois.
people driving
Like,
4
it's far.
hours to come and see us.
Yeah.
It's
That's awesome.
silly,
Yeah.
but fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
I had
Um,
somebody drive 2.5 hours yesterday to pick up 5 koozies.
you somehow reached them, right?
He likes cold beer.
Excellent, no. Is to very traditional retailers here. We are completely word of mouth. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, yes, advertising and social media and all that does do things, but the majority of people have heard from us from someone else that got shirts made, whatever made. So,
I'm with you. Like, I personally feel like buying ads for my business, I'm like, it's a waste of money, but social media word of mouth is everything. Or like those influencers, bloggers that share like my top 5 Webster spots, or like STL bucket list type of things.
So I'll throw out 2 things. I'm really just taking a listening and an observant role today, but two things I'll throw out is, and I mentioned it to you guys in our meeting at Maypop. I think for you all, it's gonna have to be more of a boots on the ground approach. You're not, like Eric said, you're not really trying to reach the internal shoppers, you're trying to get regional shoppers. And I think you're gonna have to meet people where they are. Lots of times I shop, like I'm not from here, so every business I engage with is new to me. So a lot of businesses that I constantly connect with, I'm meeting them at a festival, I'm meeting them at some type of pop-up event, I'm meeting them at just an event in general. I'm not just going to that business for that purpose. I found them somewhere and I connected with them and visit them later. And so I think, you know, I think you guys are gonna have to encourage people, maybe a couple businesses get together and they go to a festival and they set up a pop-up shop or something like that. I don't know how many of you guys do that, but I do think it's gonna have to be a more boots on the ground approach. Also, I don't know, and Eric, this is more of a finance question. Those STO bucket list, Yelp, there's one more St. Louis page. They have kind of like an ambassador program. Basically, so it'd be like an Explore Webster Groves ambassador program where you might hire some Webster High School teenagers to come on the weekends and just fill reels content. Pay them a couple bucks to do so. But I think those are the type of things that those pages are doing that are getting them a lot of outside attraction. I've done a couple reels. I did one for Maypop, but that's me as one person. I can't do that for every business or every event you guys have. So I think some more of those artsy hands would be perfect for you guys. And then two, if you know, if you know a lot of your customers are coming from like St. Charles. In the government world, we have something where they call like sister cities. So you like to partner with another city from another country that you kind of want to cross people with. What if you do like a sister city kind of vibe with St. Charles, where you guys are kind of collaborating and sharing customers across each other? If you know that's where your customer base is coming from. So I think a lot of things maybe shouldn't be so internal and just kind of think broader to the region of how you connect outside and bring people in.
As a business owner, I completely agree with you. That there's so much that business owners can just do on their own. But as a BDC, it's like, what is our role and our responsibility here? Because otherwise, why are we sitting there? You know what I mean? It's pointless. Like, we should do something to add another layer.
I think to add another layer to that, right? I mean, your ultimate role is getting policy recommendations to the city, right? And it's so essentially the commissions are not meant to be doers. They're meant to be advisory to the full council on what you need. And so you're all in a world that has not had a built out city function behind it for many years. And there's not been staff dedicated. There's time that we purchased. There's time on, org charts that we oversee things, but it's not it's not a department. There's not an office that does that. And then fundamentally, even when that happens, that's not the job to then promote a business or a sector of the businesses. It's the job to promote the entire economy within the city and such. So it's, fundamentally it's recommendations, it's policy, it's advising, the point of the coffee is to gather in what is the needs and then we report back to the city when these are the needs and what we're seeing. There's always gonna be a little doing. I get that, but it's tough to talk about a true like trade and convention type bureau, a visitors bureau, a attraction entity. That's why they exist as entities, is because cities grew up and realized it's not in our wheelhouse. That's sort of a world that's not really municipal government. It's a much more of an attraction focused entity. And it just, usually came with another funding source that provided, right? I mean, the things you talk about in St. Charles are great things. It's technically the city, but it's really through a bunch of special taxes that are applied, like a district function that we have here, that are paying for a lot of those things. So, just to give you a sense of what your role is here fundamentally is council wants to know what do we need for business community, to develop our business community. That's your fundamental role.
Sure. And I think that actually St. Charles is a great example because they did start as business owners talking to each other, like, how can we get a little something going or whatever? And it's grown and evolved into this. And so I think that's probably the pivot point that we're at. And we've kind of been circling around for a while now, which is where there is need, how do we define that? How do we transition towards that? You know, because there may be, like, when I gave that presentation to the council, it was, there's this in-between stage before we get the funding source or identify what that funding source is we need to start finding a way, what is the voice, what's the communication, how do we get all of the businesses in Webster, to come together and start to have these kinds of dialogues and define and help the city figure out what is it we need. So I think that's kind of the pivot point that we're at. And so, there may be some funding that we ask for in this transition period. But hopefully we'll identify something that can help make it a permanent part of our economy and our community.
And just to reiterate, just cap that off, what Tara is saying, your investment. All those types of things happen not because the government said we need to go do that, right? We can do it that model and it sometimes is successful, sometimes it's not. The really successful ones are when there are, the strong voices of people. There was somebody in Old Webster that said back in the day, we need to have a district, we need something special to go on here. And so we put that, the businesses got together and really led that. And that's your role here, but also then the voices you need at the table at Maritime Commission, and so it's hard work, it's organizing work, essentially is what it is, but it's, that's fundamentally how you get those infrastructure support pieces to be built up.
So the BDC, essentially us providing those opportunities like the coffee and the happy hours, giving those business owners space to talk and then take it from there.
I think you're also, that's a little bit you're doing, right? You're also providing the space, right? Which is in itself success, that you've created the room and the table for people to be at in the proverbial sense. But you're also then, you all, the 9 of you are, what are they saying? You know what I mean? And then what's that need to go back up to council? Are we on base? Is the marketing an issue for the broad segment of the community? Is it just an issue that some of us hear about? Is it just a retail issue? Is it everywhere? I mean, to give you a sense of that one, so far yet, the sales taxes haven't dipped. Locally produced sales taxes are actually up month over month still this year. I'm still shocked by that in some ways, but that's really good. But it's, so what sectors within the sales tax bases are seeing, a turn down in some way? And,
Or like Mike was saying, just because the sales tax is high, prices have gone up, and that'll help
The
that
profit
go
has
up,
changed,
and it
yeah.
doesn't mean that,
No, but my point to consumer attraction, right? I'm just saying, what's the fundamental thing there, right? Because that's a different, when you're an elected official investing public money, what you've heard now is, wait a minute. So we've got good sales, but now I'm working to extend or make more profit from it, right? I mean, that's the problem with that argument is now we're investing so that business owners can have their same level of profit, which is not a bad thing. But for some people, it's a bad thing when we talk about how to put public money behind private enterprise.
Like that's maybe not our space.
I agree, that's not,
I think we also have to remember that, it's easy to say St. Charles, but St. Charles is huge. But when you say St. Charles, what do you think of Main Street?
Mhm.
You think of Kirkwood, you think of downtown Kirkwood. We're spread out here. So, I think we probably need to look at different places like Brentwood maybe, that's more spread out, or
It's a good point.
South City maybe, because there's numerous different neighborhoods within South City that aren't necessarily walkable.
How do we synergize?
I think we need to compare ourselves to other places other than when there's one local spot. Because St. Charles is huge, but we all think of Main Street when we think about that. But we're trying to drive to numerous different places that are a couple miles apart that you're driving to. So I don't know what that means, but I'm just tossing that out, that what we're trying to tackle here is a little different than what these other cities are dealing.
sure, otherwise we would have solved it years ago.
Exactly.
I know we've
Exactly.
talked about in the past the possibility of a Webster-wide trade association, and there has been some pushback from Webster. Do you think that's still the case?
I think that we're very, very strongly where we are. I don't know how it works. We're set up. We have money coming in. We've got, the events. I I mean, nobody's gonna go in there and tear that down. Or want to go in there and tear that down for all the events and everything. That we have. And that's just how it started, but I don't. I mean, I don't see how anybody would be in Old West would be favorable of trying to combine that.
Or like opening it up larger.
It's just because we're far apart from everybody. It's not that we're anti-Webster by any means. It's just, we've established these events, over the course of 20, 30 years. It would be tough to try and take that business away from people. I think we would get a lot less volunteers all of a sudden, if we tried to do that.
If we were to pursue this economic development sales tax, could that fund a trade association for
So that's part of that 20%.
the 20% of it?
Yeah, so that's there's strictures in that law about how investments, but that 20% that we talked about, that could be marketing and all that, that includes then events and things like that. So the association, the trade association, the model of Old Webster or Old Orchard is not incredibly heavy in terms of overhead, I don't think, in terms of budget issues, and we've got some staff time that you're gonna need engagement people, right? You really get costs there when you start to do, are you gonna do downtown ambassadors? Put in the workforce program and have people do the street cleanup, the people walk around and sweep up public areas and such. That's where you end up with bigger costs there, but usually they're really they're taking money in and spending it back out. Marketing, or building infrastructure things.
And we could layer that on top of the whole city and you guys could keep yours, but I don't know if anybody would want to do both. Like why would you pay into both? But I'm sure there's people who pay into the trade association and pay into the chamber.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say people wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's benefiting
Yeah, true.
people, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, and I mean, you guys, those things that have been going on for 20, 30 years, I mean, I can't imagine anyone asking to not do
Right.
it. Like the people that pour in for the Christmas things and all of that kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
And so I think.
Yeah, holiday open house. I mean, what we want half the crowd there and half to go somewhere. I mean, we've
Well,
established that. So
but I'm not sure that that's necessarily what would happen if it was opened. I think sometimes, it doesn't mean that you're going to be like cannibalizing from yourself. It could just be that more people
Or
come
we
in
just
all
all
over.
spread it out.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Probably.
still, it's, trying to find a way for everyone to come together and it's been discussion for over 10 years on this board.
but yeah, the original point was, I think we need to look at Brentwood. I think we need to look at other places to compare ourselves to figure out how they're doing things to get people to their locations, other than.
Well, even Main Street St. Charles has North Main and South Main. So they have totally different areas, and then they have Frenchtown and things like that. So they do have.
for the city of St. Louis, I mean, I know that's a big example, but they have separate CIDs and separate districts. Kind of like what we have.
So we're a rare suburb that didn't have one downtown that we grew up on, right? I mean, that's the fundamental history of Webster Grove. We're an amalgamation. Now you've got separate parts brought together, but identities came with them, right? So. That's a real challenge.
I think that,
It's not the normal development of a city, it's normal meeting.
possible for us all to come together and still not lose our identity. So one question I do have, Eric, is like, because we were talking about that 0.5% sales tax type of thing. Do we have numbers for both of these boards of what kind of dollars that would mean?
So we are pulling the numbers, yes. We want to get the latest numbers, so the fiscal year numbers would be available for 24, so we'll use those numbers and have them.
Great.
Yep.
Will you, maybe after the meeting, I can email it to you, go over just
Mhm.
quickly what I put on my CID board and
Yes.
just let me know if you have it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you two could just come with me and we'll figure out what size of
Perfect.
board you're thinking about, and then if I need to print things on bigger sheets, So I don't want to have people walk around a little board trying to read 12-point font.
Yeah. Before we move on again, I know in our last agenda, we had maybe like making some type of vision plan for the BDC. Can we maybe circle back to that, just so I feel like we need to get all on the same page of like, what is our mission here, what are we doing? And like, I know Eric was talking about that conversation earlier of like, what is our role? Because bouncing around and I think just managing expectations is important, so we all know what we're working towards, so we're not wasting time or resources or.
Didn't the council
Enjoying
just
the city.
redefine all of the missions for all of the?
I was gonna ask, is there a mission, is there a mission statement out
There
there?
is, it's in the ordinance, but your mission purpose statement didn't change other than we. Yes, you did change. So we looked at membership and we removed Yorkshire, had a Crossroads was shared with Yorkshire like it was a joint district and such. So that was really the only change from BDC. You're a 9-member commission with the same purpose you've had. I'll send out the ordinance, the purpose to all of you. You can have it. Pull it up if you want, but it's very much policy and advice recommendations. But that's a very broad.
Yeah.
I mean, the council is really giving you the broad latitude to look at a lot of things, but it's fundamentally at its core, that advisory, what do we need for businesses? Back to council to help for our budgets, figure out programs of work. And such.
Yeah, I guess my next question is like, what policies?
I think that's why it's so broad, right? Because before COVID, we were working on things and COVID happens. What happens? We pivot, right? What's happening coming out of COVID? That's where we put ARPA money in things. We heard people couldn't find people working Webster Groves, let's activate those types of things.
It changes.
Changes and it flows, right? So but there is that fundamental, how are we going to pay for this? Even if it's work A and work B, but now we've got work C in the future, is there a direct funding source? And I think the conversation you're having is helpful, but it's also keeping on that task because staff, I'll admit, there's times on which way is BDC going, right? And then there's this like a SID conversation, that's a big conversation. And I think the train's going there. Oh, now we're going this way. That's fine. We can pivot. We're good at pivoting, but it's, it takes time to get that common language understanding back for everyone then on where we're going.
And if I may, when I was chair of sustainability, we decided, and sustainability is obviously like a different animal. There are real tactics like that can be addressed and measured and then acted upon. But we did develop a plan only to keep us like with a North Star. And perhaps, BDC's plan is to, a couple of 5 key points that kind of focus in the conversation, how do we boost, Q4? How do we create a more united field? Like these are things that are, you can do make short-term actions and decisions, but also have a long-term view on how to achieve those goals, if those are the goals that, BDC wants to consider.
I feel like we need that, but it's just me.
No, that sounds like a good idea.
And maybe that's something that we could be working on, for September, October, November, and let's go into 2025.
It's a good time to think about that ultimately, because in January and February, we'll ask you for your budget for 26, sort of where you want to be. So if you engage in restaurants, let's just say it, we're gonna dig into engaging restaurants. We need $5,000 just to find the right time. If it's happy hour at 3 a.m. and they're all getting done, but so how do we do that?
You could share it on your February 12th.
Yeah, exactly. Are we ready to go to business district updates? Do you want to start with Crossroads?
Sure. September 28th, we have pickleball. It's all day. It's 8:30 to 4:30. And they're not doing the vendor market this year, but there's the car show. There's gonna be food trucks. I think there's petting zoo, bands. Just excited. It was very busy last year.
Why not vendor marketing?
Oh, that's Chris, I guess. Maybe the vendors. I remember the vendors last year. It was so hot, and they were like,
It was
"I'm not
hot.
gonna last the whole day."
It was hot, but got good turnout over there.
I thought so, but
Maybe it's sometimes when people coming in for a certain mindset, then don't necessarily want to shout.
it was a very you were there.
Yeah.
Like family friendly, fun. Like my kids had a blast because they're just playing. So I don't know if it was like shopping. I don't know.
Is that it? Anything else? Any new businesses coming in or?
Not since we last talked. The off elm is under construction. They're chugging along. I think they're still hoping to open October, November. So
Halloween.
I don't know. Looking good over there.
Do you want to update us on Old Webster?
I can't really, well, our meeting is next week for that, as far as Old Webster, we met Tuesday, trade association, and that really was going over the different events that we have coming up. I mean, it's a busy time of year for us. Oktoberfest was the main topic. It's a little different this year as Perennial is going to be a big sponsor of ours, and we're gonna have it where you can purchase a cup from them, and then you'll get a free sampler cup that you can taste different beers, all amounts of beers.
What are the dates for Oktoberfest? Did you say?
It's a third weekend of October, whatever,
19th and 20th.
19th and 20th.
So the weekend before the trick or treating.
Yes,
Cool, so that's kind of like how they do the wine walk in Kirkwood.
I guess I've not been to the White Walk, but yeah, that, so we're adding that to it. We'll have a couple of bands. We are considering actually making it only Saturday instead of Saturday and Sunday. But yeah, there'll be bands, there'll be it should be a fun event as usual.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
Jazz Fest. It's the 21st, right, September.
yeah, I haven't heard much about the Jazz Fest.
Yeah.
Band is up.
Banners.
Yeah, Joe doesn't attend the meetings anymore, and so Dan is on, or did he decide to stay or not stay for the taxation?
No, Dan is off.
He's definitely off.
Yeah.
So I would need to talk to Dan. I mean, I'm sure everything is good on that.
As far as yes, so the committee has been meeting Jazz Fest. There's still the same two stages, the same
Yeah.
full lineups. I think the vendors are all local, all the food is local. Meaning within
Yeah.
Webster Groves between Madrina and Robust Perennial,
Mhm.
Mission Taco, so that'll be, it's good. We've met for permit needs and it's all, even met, so
Saturday, Sunday, 21st, 22nd.
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yes,
That's always one day.
You ever want to see, come, you welcome me on the cleanup committee. I would take some chair takers down at midnight, so. They have reduced the number of chairs from 700 to like 400 that they're getting rented, which is going to be helpful because of those little like chairs that you
Yeah.
rent. So if you're coming, bring your lawn chair, essentially, then bring your own chair.
We'll fill it.
Oh, yeah.
It's always filled.
Do you have any updates from Old Orchard?
Gazebo series, unfortunately, it didn't kick off last week because the band had a health emergency. So we had to cancel, and that was supposed to be family
The
night.
kid one, yeah.
Yeah, so the kickoff is this week. Which is, we're trying to work, see if we could reschedule, like last year we had to cancel one because the heat was just too extreme. And we ended up having that final band come back on the October 6th. So that may happen, family night might be at the end instead of the beginning. But trying to match up dates is still an issue, but yeah, that's rocking and rolling. They're talking about, also they're going to have a holiday event. They really kind of expanded and started theirs last year. It's the first Saturday in December. So that'll be again.
Did we lose Jerry? I feel like we should have asked him if he needed anything before the happy hour.
That's what Jerry and I are talking every day about that. So,
Okay.
but, yeah. So, no, we don't need anything. We're good on that
So, like,
regard.
we
We've
show
got,
up 15
I
minutes
agree.
early or?
unless you want anything produced or handing out, I don't think you did. It was pretty much just come and hang out, right? But I would encourage you to take your business coffee, save the date that you got on email. I think you all should add it. If you didn't, just let me know and I'll get it to you. And also the happy hour information there and pump it up, tell people. So
Yeah.
it'll be on socials. It'll be on our Friday page from the city and stuff. We'll go on Explore Webster Groves, but
Just keep
You know how-
spreading word.
Do we have something that, at the happy hour that can say, hey, come to the coffee?
We can print that, make it big and have it up there, like poster boards up there, so.
Yeah.
do that, yep.
Maybe we'll have Sergeant if he has anything over here.
Parking good?
As far as I know.
Parking good.
Does anybody have anything for me? Good.
Let me hop in here because you're gonna hear about parking, so. Real quick, so the high school parking issue, that Traffic Advisory Commission took on is a whole can of worms. Traffic Advisory Commission's recommendation, and I want to look to Renee to make sure I patterned this right, if you remember, but sounds like the council told them to go back and look at potentially reopening all parking permit regulations. And Councilmember Hassmeyer, I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. So the point being is that there are conflicting constituencies within parking, right? That's why I always ask. And we popped open a little can there of that conversation. So it may not get in the commercial areas, it may, I don't know. But of course, residential adjacent commercial areas are going to be affected by some kind of parking inflow. So just want you to be.
It's crazy as someone that went to Webster, and parked on certain streets. And then going back now with kids and taking those streets are shut down and then the streets next to them are now all full. I mean, it is I mean, they didn't, whenever that happened, that didn't solve any problems. That just created a nuisance to farther
We
away.
moved parking.
Yeah, that's
Has
all.
there
it
ever
did.
been discussion about infrastructure for parking, like an underground parking garage across from the school or anything?
There probably has been some discussions. I would just say from the city, there's not been any intention that cost per spot of infrastructure and ramps is massive. I don't know where we would take that from, but ask the school if they've had any conversations. I don't know.
It's the school district. But I,
Well, no, I mean, I
There's
feel
not
like,
been any conversations that are intentional to say, let's see if let's even cost that out. I mean, we know a cost per space in a garage or a deck. It's about 4 times the money than a surface lot, right? The problem is we don't have surface areas to make surface lots, so. Took old Selma Field and built a deck under it, and put people underneath it and played soccer above it. What would that cost? Is that the right thing to do? Should we be incentivizing not having that many cars come to school? Things like that. All different, again, constituencies and values represented in this wonderful parking conversation, so.
it is a wonderful conversation.
It's very deep.
I think the biggest thing I come to that with, and I don't know about Director Tyler or Manager Tyler, but I would look at you is data, right? We all have anecdotes of what parking is, but what is the data, right? I mean, what is the actual accounts? City would be a waste of our efforts, I believe, to send people out to just sit there and count. Now, we may need to do that in some cases, but how do we get to data, real data about parking and not end up on, this is what I believe, because I couldn't park in the spot I wanted. That must mean there's a problem. So from all of our constituencies. Trust me, we get them, we need more parking in Old Webster because they couldn't park in front of your store and they had to park across the street. And I was like, across the street? Like, I had that phone call the other day. So.
They want the princess parking.
yeah.
That's what we call.
I like that term.
Yeah, the golden princess pass. Okay,
Back to coffee. Do we have a flyer?
We haven't said today.
Okay.
Then we print that off. So
Are we going door to door to tell people this time or?
I will print them off if you want them.
Yeah, we
I always kind of
talked
like
about
making
that,
the
but
run.
in my notes, no one was ever assigned to that duty.
I
Or volunteered
I
for that
don't want
duty.
me to design it.
Or
voluntold for that
You
duty.
can design it. Yeah.
I'm happy to do it. I
You
was
can't do it
like
same day,
walking
but
around
you
and
can
talking
be
to
there,
people.
And I'll spread Old Orchard with you again.
Yeah.
I don't mind walking around there.
We probably don't need a ton of flyers, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I got 30 and then I could,
Chief and I will be
Yeah.
having an hour in the coffee. So.
Right on.
but we could even not do that until like 2 weeks before the conference.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
because you go too soon, then, and I think we might capture a lot of interest at the happy hour.
We'll have a border there and I'll have some printed for the happy hour. If people want to take them, and then I'll have
Perfect.
extras here at City Hall. You can
Perfect.
just come grab whenever.
And if we make it clear that we're talking about money, then people are more likely to show up.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
That was our best coffee when we were talking.
I know,
about it.
right?
We got some money to give away.
How to spend money,
Let's
yeah.
spend free money.
I know we're super short, we're overtime. Is there anything that we should know from the council, Jeannie?
Just quickly, the Lakota group, shared their State of the City report. If you didn't get to tune in, we had to break it up between the, work session and the regular meeting. So you can fast forward through it. I think it was really fascinating. I'm nerdy about that sort of data. So super curious. So if you have an interest, I would go back and listen to that. And we did vote to name the sculpture park after former Mayor Jerry Welch. And I think that's all. Am I missing anything here?
No,
Yes.
I would just add,
Thank you. Yeah, or
The
Renee.
Lakota group will also be at the Zibo series.
Yeah,
And
Friday.
they will have a tent.
Oh, cool.
And so encourage everybody to go by and talk to them. They're still gathering
This week.
insight. Friday,
Great.
Friday.
Beautiful weather.
Thank you for that.
piece of the State of City report that's vital to the conversation you just talked about, they highlighted how do we hold on to identity, but yet improve the coordination, not just coordination of events, but just the overall economic vitality of the city and such like that, in the business culture and finance. So not destroying identity, holding identity. I'm looking at you, Old Webster, Old Orchard, these places that have identity, but then how, if you're out of that identity, how are you involved in that same?
So you just gotta create your own. I'm into Crossroads being like the new edgy district of Webster Road.
Well, when we see
You got the tavern.
Yeah, you know, we're like
we see your new streetscape, I mean, yeah, I mean.
2027.
Almost there.
They're getting power in their polls.
The neighborhood refers to itself as Baja Webster over in
Yeah.
Marshall and Summit.
Bohemian side.
I love it.
You're on the north side, you call yourself Baja.
Yeah. Okay, next meeting, September 28th. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn,
Second. All right.
nobody's my second. Stay good. Oh, got worried.
September 28th is the next. That's what the meeting, that's what the agenda
It's,
says. 28th is Saturday.
It's 2 days before your birthday. That's why you know. That's because it's the tournament.
Nice.
The
Birthday
26th should be.
Oh, so
Saturday.
it's, yes. Okay.
Just throw up on a Saturday.
So those kind of things.
Where is everybody?
Okay, sure.
Well, if you're free, basically.
Okay.
Regis.
Thank you for that.
Should we get our boards?
Yeah.
Boards,
That's what we need.
We need the boards, Eric.
Yep.
Boards, I go out and look at boards a little bit.
Hey, Fran.
See what side.
You guys